A beautiful sight, we're happy tonight, walking in a winter wonderland. Gone away is a
Hi guys, it's Rachel Guest, your resident Tough Cookie, and thank you for joining us on the Train with Tough Cookie podcast, where we talk about the personal in personal training. And today, I'm joined by my very, very special Christmas guest. Chances are that if you have run a race in the last 15 years, you have seen this great purple, big-breasted cheerleader sending love and good vibes during the toughest of marathons. He has raised over $65,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, become the ambassador for the organization, spent time in New York City singing as an elf at Rockefeller Center, released a Christmas CD, and thrown the year's biggest Christmas bashes this town has ever seen, and done it all out of the goodness of his heart. He is someone I have looked to for inspiration in my own fundraising events and hope to someday know how to keep my positivity as inspired as him. Mr. Christopher C.J. Foster.
Woo!
Ta-da!
Thank you.
And the bells. We do have to preface this with the fact that we're treating this now as our COVID Christmas party. So both CJ and I are dressed up in our holiday best. Because normally around this time, you would be having what? Like your super...
Christmas party.
Yeah, I know. It was like, do we call it anything in particular? Or
Holiday party?
Holiday party?
Holiday party.
Holiday probably is more PC. I should have gone with that. And as I said it, I said, wait, I'm just so focused on Christmas right now. But yeah.
I mean, Christmas is a couple days away.
That's true. Oh, I only say that because I'm traveling this year. And it's on Christmas, which will be quite amazing. I'm going to go with amazing. Anyway.
Yes.
Okay. So thank you, CJ, for being here with us.
Thank you for having me.
The way that I like to start off all these podcasts is asking, mainly for the simple fact that I forget how we met. How did we meet?
I think the first time we met was at BJ's
Okay.
when you were still working there
Probably. That sounds right.
with
Yeah,
Dave.
with Dave. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband, who is, I'm sorry, for those of you sitting at home, that is my husband. But yes.
Yeah. So the way that works, I worked
Yes.
upstairs at California Pete's Kitchen.
That's right. Yes. Yes.
Dave would come upstairs for his breaks.
Yes.
For a gin and tonic, and I'd come downstairs after work for a Jeremiah Red.
Oh God.
And I think
those
that's
were the
how
days.
it all got started.
Okay. And I think the first time I met, I think this is what, I didn't meet you in person first. The way I met you was through Dave, where he was saying, hey, yeah, there's this guy that works California Pete's Kitchen. I don't know his name because he always has a different name tag on.
Oh, all right. I don't know, probably incorrect story, but for Christmas, I would wear a Jesus name tag.
Oh.
So I could tell people they were having breaking bread with Jesus for the holidays.
Okay.
Which is totally inappropriate.
It was a
But I
little
thought
bit-
it was hilarious.
Hey, it was 2008. The world was different.
Yes. Yes. A different world back then.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So that, because I think he was like, I wanted like, I don't know if his name's Nancy or Jesus. I don't know.
I wore Jesus name tag.
Okay. All right. So I'm not pulling stuff out of my butt. Okay,
Correct.
cool. All right.
Yeah,
so
yeah. That's funny that you bring that up.
I was trying to think of like the first time I ever met you because I don't remember. Everyone tells me how they meet me and I'm like, oh, okay, or whatever. But
Well, I
Yeah.
remember, like, I was coming into BJ's maybe just for a couple months regularly on Tuesdays after my meetings.
yeah.
And me and Dave would just,
Yeah.
shoot the breeze and talk about stuff. And then out of the blue, he invited me to your wedding.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like,
Right.
I don't know if we were there yet.
Cool.
But yeah,
We needed to pad the guest list. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, okay. I just remember telling myself, don't be that guy. Because you don't know, I didn't know too many people.
That's
Well, I
true.
knew the people from BJ's, but
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't show up to this wedding and be the guy.
But it low-key you kind of were, but not in a bad way because I remember David's like looking through our wedding photos and every single one has like you being like white girl living it up in the background.
With
Yes,
double
yeah.
fisting, double fisting.
To be fair, we
Yeah.
had an open bar. If you weren't double fisting, you weren't doing it right. Anyway, so so
Good times.
Yeah, right. Welcome to the special holiday episode where we talk about the personal and personal training. But I know that hopefully there's some music that's playing at the beginning of this podcast, which is from your CD. Now, when you put that together, was that for anything in particular, or was that
It was
just you?
at the time I was running marathons and raising money for Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. And the CD came out great, but I almost feel like the story of how the CD came about is even more fun.
I forgot it all, so let's
Okay, so well, we might have to go back even further.
Okay, yes.
I'll start it off this way.
Yeah.
I started running marathons for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. About a couple years in, I went and did the San Diego Rock and Roll Marathon.
When was the first time you did that one? Because that was the first time I did that marathon was with you and Kevin.
Okay, first time I did it was 2006.
Okay, so that obviously wasn't the first time I did it.
Correct. Years later.
Yeah, a couple years later. I did it. Yeah.
So 2006, I ran the marathon. They were doing, they were trying to do a Guinness World Record, the most Elvises in a marathon.
Oh.
So I dressed up like Elvis
to
run the marathon. At mile 13, there was this group of 13 guys dressed like cheerleaders with big boobs and skirts and wigs, cheering on the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Yeah.
Just a lot. They're having fun. They had a boom box. They were dancing. So I remember so I ran the marathon. Great experience, dressed like Elvis. The next year, I was training for the Alaska Marathon, and I was now asked to be a mentor on the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society team. So I was mentoring some newer people on the team, helping them with their fundraising and stuff like that. So I get the idea, wouldn't it be incredible if I got a hold of those guys dressed like cheerleaders and I joined their cheerleading squad and surprised my mentees? So turns out these guys are a part of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society San Diego chapter.
Okay.
So through the organization, got a hold of them, and I'm like, hey, man, I want to join your cheerleading squad. He's like, yeah, man, it's going to be awesome. You're going to be at mile 13. You just need to get yourself a cheerleading outfit. So I'm like, where do I get a cheerleading outfit? My next door neighbor is a ballroom dancer who makes his own outfits. I mentioned it to him. So he's like, well, I'll sell you a cheerleading outfit.
This is
so
like a Disney version of this.
I'm like, sweet.
Crazy.
Isn't this awesome?
Yeah.
So, all right. So I'm like, I'm going to surprise them at mile 13. I got my cheerleading outfit. Unfortunately, a couple of days before the marathon, one of the guys I was mentoring had a death in his family.
Okay.
He was going to miss the marathon.
Yeah.
He asked me to run the marathon for him so he could still get the medal and everything because he did the fundraising. So obviously I was like, well, for sure, of course, I'm going to run the marathon for you.
Yeah.
But I already got this cheerleading outfit. So I think I'm just going to run the marathon dressed like a cheerleader.
Okay.
He's like, all right.
Cool, man. I don't care.
Yeah. I just want the medal. And so I did. And it was, to me, it was just an incredible experience of just people coming up, grabbing my boobs, motorboating me, women chest butting me, which I'm like, this is awesome.
This is the life.
But as the marathon got on, mile 20, 21, obviously that tougher miles, I took my energy into cheering those people up. So I'd run up next to somebody and say, hey, grab a boob for inspiration. Yeah. So by the time I got to the finish line, I had all these people coming up to me, thanking me, being like, I was in such a bad place. I was like, my head was in a bad place. And you came up and just said that stupid stuff. And it changed my mind, and I was able to finish in a positive way.
Oh, my God.
So that's where the cheerleader started. I'm like, well, I'm going to do this for every marathon. This is awesome.
And that was the first one ever was San Diego, and that's when you dressed up as that?
As a cheerleader.
Okay, then, all right. That just solidifies that that's probably my favorite marathon of all time. Clearly, I've done them all, but for me, that's one of my favorites. San Diego's amazing. And I can definitely tell you that on that mile, 21, 22, that is the toughest part of the marathon. Like, that's...
At that time, it was going around that island, because we used to finish...
Oh, Catalina?
No, it was going around this, like...
No,
yeah. In the middle of the marathon, they'd put you on a ferry, and they ferry you out to Catalina, and then that's... I'm joining that marathon. So it's that bay that goes around, and then it used to finish in SeaWorld.
Oh.
But that bay was just like, there was no fans.
Yeah.
It was like 2 miles of just like, it was just awful. Yeah. There was nobody cheering. There was maybe a band out there because the Rock and Roll Marathon.
Yeah.
It was just a tough part.
God.
So having big purple cheerleader guy cheer you up.
That makes me so happy.
All right, so that's
Yes,
where the
so-
cheerleader came from.
Wait, do I have a question? May I
Do you
please
have a
ask you a
question?
question? I have a
No,
question.
no.
What, and I hear people say this all the time, is when they ask you to mentor. Is that what you said when they asked you to mentor for the program? Or,
Correct.
Yeah. What does mentoring entail realistically?
Well, I think where it got started is, especially when I joined team and training in 2005, our seasons, we'd have like 90 people on the team to
At
start.
all times?
Well, it would start with like between like 80, 90 people on a team.
Okay.
So you have 2 running coaches. They obviously can't give the individual attention to everybody.
Okay.
So they had people that had already gone through the program, that maybe had already fundraised and, done events, and asked them to mentor. So the new people, like they take 4 or 5 new people and
Yeah.
they give you 4 or 5 new people and ask you to mentor.
Okay.
In return, you maybe wouldn't have to fundraise the next season or
Okay.
stuff like that.
Now, to be on the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, what are the prerequisites for? Because you can't just, can you be like, hey, I want to be on the team?
Yeah.
And then what? Then do you have to fundraise a certain amount of money to stay on the team? Or is it just, hey?
Well, at this point, it's so much easier now than it was.
Yeah.
Before, when I first started, the way they'd work is you join the team,
Yeah.
and you'd pick an event. So like when I first joined the team, I literally got a flyer in the mail and it said, come run a marathon. And I'd been
Nice.
bartending at CBK,
Yeah.
and my life was working and drinking and working and drinking and working and drinking. I'm like, I need something positive in my life. And I got this flyer in the mail and I'm like, here it is.
Yeah.
So I go to a meeting and they tell you about the organization and then they tell you about the different events. And so my first time, I'm like, well, I'm not going to be able to do a full. So I signed up for a half. And at that point, the half for that season was the Santa Barbara Half Marathon.
Wow. How beautiful.
Yeah, it's an awesome event. And the fundraising minimum was $1,900.
Oh, okay.
But that would include, you'd stay in Santa Barbara for a night or 2,
Yeah.
and they'd pay for your hotel.
Yeah, they would set you up.
Right.
And
And they have a big
VIP,
pasta
yeah.
party and all that stuff.
Excuse me.
So my first season, I'm like, well, I can only do a half. So I signed up for the half, and then I started going to practice, and they have coaching. They start teaching you, and I'd never run a marathon before, so I was like, I don't know how this works. And then
Welcome to the club.
right?
Yeah.
So then they gave me a mentor,
Okay.
and he was at practice, and I'd ask him questions, more personal
Yeah.
questions. And probably about 6 weeks in, he turned to me and he's like, hey, you going to be here every Saturday? And I'm like, yeah, I plan on being here for every practice. He's like, well, if you're going to be here every Saturday, you can run a full. Because it was 6 months of training.
What a good pusher.
And I sat
marathon
there,
runners are.
right? And I sat there and I'm like, he's right. He's right. I can run a full marathon.
He is right. Yeah.
Yeah. So then at that point, my choices were Phoenix for 3,000 fundraising
Okay.
or Hawaii for 4,200
Ooh, yeah.
fundraising.
Okay.
Well, I'm a go big or go home type of guy. So I'm
Yeah.
like, well, I'm doing Hawaii.
Yeah.
My first marathon in Hawaii.
Yeah. That's pretty epic.
And so that's what I did.
Wow. Wow.
So now, before it was like 4,200, that
Yeah.
was a minimum.
Okay.
You had to raise that much. And that would include, for Hawaii, it would include your flight and your hotel stay.
Wow.
The way they work it out, 75% of what you fundraise goes to the cause, 25% of what you fundraise goes towards getting you there in
Yeah.
the pasta party.
Wow.
Obviously, they probably pay a cheaper rate because they're a charity
They're
organization.
still taking, you know what, honestly, they're still taking, this is back in what, 2006, 2005?
Correct.
They're taking care of all that headache crap for you. Because this is before what, Travelocity and crap like that was,
I think so.
we couldn't get it on our phone. Like if we wanted to
Did
run.
the phone have
Yeah.
internet then?
I don't remember.
Probably.
No, it didn't. No,
Oh.
if it did, it was one of the things where you had to exit really quickly or you get charged $40 a minute or something. Anyway, sorry kids.
Yes.
We're
going on a tangent.
Sorry, yes. Anyway,
So
long story longer. Yes.
yeah, so nowadays the way that, because I did the team last year, and it was my second time being the coach. So I've coached the team
Wow.
twice now.
Yeah.
And the way they have it now is they literally, like, let's say as an alumni, I could join the team and my fundraising would be $750. And I would choose whatever event I want to do. Now I would have to go and pay for the event and pay for like my expenses and hotel and stuff like that. But they would give me the training. So,
Wow. Okay.
and I think we talked about the other day, a lot about training for a marathon is that motivation of being with other people.
Yes. It's 100. I don't know if anyone's gotten this vibe off of us recently, but I like being around people and I pick up off of their energy and, you know, so now it's so depressing. I hate to use that word. I hate to use the big D word, but it's so like, well, I'm going to go for a run and like there's literally what's sad is tomorrow I'm doing this virtual race with a client of mine. So that's I feel kind of selfish saying that, like, but it's a whole lot of like, okay, we're gonna do this and like really have to psych ourselves up. And it's a 5K. Like I don't think I could do a virtual marathon because it would be a little bit more difficult. But it's that like, hey, I think we talked about this yesterday where it's like, hey, you're gonna be there on Saturday. CJ's gonna be there. First off, CJ's gonna be there. That's great. Second off, someone's gonna be there to know how much this sucks at the moment. And you're like, as soon as you get going, you know, and all that good stuff about how running is beautiful and blah, blah, blah. But, you know, it's so important to...
Well, just getting out of bed.
Yes.
Knowing that there's somebody there expecting you to be there.
Yes. Yes.
You know, it helps get you out.
Yes.
But like you said, once you get there and you start training.
Yeah.
Like I remember my first couple of seasons, you spend time, you know, you're running 18 miles, 10, 15, 18 miles with the same people.
Yeah.
You hear their whole life story.
Yep. Yeah.
You hear a little too much sometimes. I mean, the things you talk about while running between chafing and stuff like that.
Yeah. It's a very intimate sport.
Yeah. But the bonding, there's a bonding that's hard. It's hard to explain.
It is hard to explain. Because I've done that where I'm very much like, okay, I need to do this. I'll do it on my own, mainly because there's other stuff that I'm going through at the moment. But I've done that where they're like, hey, why don't you come to a shake-off run a couple days before the marathon? And I'm like, oh my God, these people are like, how long have you known each other? Oh, just 3 months. It's like, okay, good for you.
Yeah, but they could probably tell your life story better than you could.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's so good.
So you've been running marathons for, do you know ballpark how many you've done?
Full marathons, I've done 19.
Okay. That's pretty impressive. I don't even know how many I've done. I think I have to count. I keep the medals and the bibs. I have to count them for the simple fact I want to know how many I've done. Anyway.
Well, and that's the thing is like all my medals are just in the drawer.
Yeah, that's same. I was like,
what do I do with it?
You could put them on the Christmas tree. I've seen people make ornaments out of them, but it has to be one of those like fake trees because obviously the medals are heavy. So it'd be really hard to put if you were to get like a spruce.
I guess you got to get a really strong fake
you really
tree.
Do. I mean, we just ventured into the fake tree universe recently, and I'm in my 30s now, and it's live trees are for kids in their 20s. They're in your 30s, I'm like, cool, I can put it up, I can put it down when I want to. Great.
And you don't have to vacuum as much.
No, well, because the cats eat it, but other than that, yeah, but you're right, sorry. Anyway.
The cats eat it.
So, yes.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
The Christmas CD.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So I just wanted to at least tell you the cheerleader story because it adds into the Christmas CD story.
Yeah.
So this is 2010. It's August. The organization is having a karaoke contest at Dimples in Burbank. Do you remember Dimples in Burbank?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So they're having this big fundraiser at Dimples.
Yes.
Karaoke, and I love to sing.
Yeah.
So I'm like, literally, I was all like, oh, I got to go.
Yeah.
So, maybe I should preface this. All right, there's more.
It's okay.
So now, the Christmas before that.
Yes.
We got time, right?
We
the
got
Christmas
time.
before that.
Yeah.
I'm sitting at home. I'm watching Elf with a friend, the movie Elf.
Of course.
And somebody from the organization calls, and she's like, hey, we're going to be doing these programs at the malls. We're going to be setting up booths, and people can bring their gifts, and if they give a donation, we're going to wrap their gifts for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'm like, that's awesome. Can I sing Christmas carols while you guys are wrapping gifts? and the lady that's in charge of the organization, she's just like, okay. And I'm like, and I want to do it dressed like an elf. And she's like, I wouldn't expect anything less, CJ.
Okay, CJ.
So now I'm like, well, but I don't have an elf costume. So what do I do? So I call Virginia. She's she's one of the survivors on our team.
Nice.
She's like the hen mother of the team.
Yeah.
She likes to sew. So I called Virginia. I'm like, Virginia, can you sew me an elf costume? She's like, I don't know, CJ. That's kind of tough. Call Sandra. She's better sewer than I am. I'm like, all right. So I called Sandra and I left a message. I didn't get any call back from Sandra.
Okay.
2 days later, Virginia calls me back and she's like, CJ, what size are you?
Aww.
I'm online right now. I'm buying you an elf costume. I'm like, you shouldn't. Okay. So I spent that Christmas at the malls dressing up like an elf, singing Christmas carols, just walking around trying to promote people to the booth. And then, so I had this elf costume. So that's the year that I went home for Christmas. I brought my elf costume.
Okay.
I have a good friend that lives in New York City. I decided to go visit her. And I'm like, I want to go to Rockefeller Center, dressed like an elf, and sing Christmas carols to the people at the big tree.
At the tree.
At the tree. At the big Rockefeller Christmas tree. And so I did.
Oh, my God. And there's what? There's video of this?
There's a YouTube video
on YouTube.
of me singing at Rockefeller
So you're
Center,
not just
dressed
making
like an
this
elf. You go to YouTube, CJ the Elf, and it pops up.
Oh, my God.
So that was that Christmas.
God.
So now we'll fast forward back to August.
Okay.
Where we're at Dimples.
Okay.
For the karaoke contest.
Okay. Got it. Kids,
Okay.
you have it? Okay.
Yeah. I swear I'll let you talk at some point, Rachel.
It's not. No, it's CJ. I don't wanna.
All right, cool. So then,
Yes.
I stole your podcast. So it's August. We're at Dimples. It's a karaoke contest.
Okay.
And about 2 people before me, I run in the bathroom and I put on my cheerleading outfit with my big boobs and my skirt. And I sing Baby Got Back.
Oh my God.
Baby Got Back is like a 6-minute song. I had no idea. So I start singing it and, people are like, ha, ha, ha. He's dressed like a cheerleader singing Baby Got Back. And then it's like the song keeps going. I'm like, man, I'm losing the audience a little bit. So there's a pole on stage. So I start using it as a stripper pole. Okay. Then I go over to the audience or to the judges, and I put all the judges in my cleavage and dance around with them. And then there's an older gentleman up front. So I just go over and I give him a lap dance.
Nice.
I got the crowd back. By the end, everybody's cheering and hooting and hollering.
Literally nothing less.
Okay. So I win the karaoke contest.
Of course, as you should.
So later in the night, one of the girls from our team comes up and she's like, oh my God, that was so funny. And it sounds like you have a really nice voice.
Yes.
And I'm like, thank you. I love to sing. Last year, I dressed up like an elf and I sang Christmas carols at the mall for the organization. It's my dream to have my own Christmas CD. And she says, that's so crazy. And I'm like, why? Because my husband owns his own recording studio. Maybe he'll record it for you if you ask him nicely. Let's go over it. He's right over there. Let's go over. So she brings me over, and she's like, is this a CJ? And he's like, yeah. He saw me.
Yeah,
obviously.
I know who this guy is.
Yeah, the big purple cheerleader. He wants to make his own Christmas CD. So he turns to me, and he says, you know that guy over there you just gave a lap dance to? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's my dad. That's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. I will definitely record your Christmas CD. So now I have a Christmas CD. So if I never dressed up like a cheerleader and sang Baby Got Back and gave that guy a lap dance, I wouldn't have my own Christmas CD.
Kids, follow your dreams.
You never know what'll get you there.
Get ripped. Not that I'm saying you were ripped, but just get ripped and just do what your heart wants. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I don't, in my brain, that guy was Billy D. Williams, but it's, no, I know.
I don't think so.
I don't think it was either. That's amazing.
But that's how the CD came about.
Was this the same guy that also taught piano lessons? I think I'm going off on a tangent somewhere. But
No.
No.
So what's interesting is that whole experience is what got it moving forward. That I'm like, okay, I'm recording my Christmas CD.
Yeah.
Some things fell apart when it came time to actually recording the CD.
Okay.
And those people that said they were going to record my CD, they weren't returning my calls.
Oh.
But I was moving forward with it.
Yeah.
I got somebody that was going to play the piano for me. And then when it came closer, she bailed on me.
Oh.
So then I asked a friend who, she's an opera singer in the LA Opera, and I was talking to her about it. And she's like, well, I got this guy, Frank. He's a good friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
He's a jazz pianist. You know, he's awesome. His aunt passed away from leukemia, so he's a big part in our cause. Why don't you talk to him about it? So I talked to him,
Oh my God.
and he's like, you know what? I'd love to do this for you.
Yeah.
Come to my house, and I'll just lay down the tracks for you, all the piano tracks. So that I wanted to have it ready for Thanksgiving, so I could have all that time to sell the CD for fundraising.
Yeah.
So I go to his house and get there. We go into his garage where his studio is, and nothing's working. And he's like, I don't know, this never happens. He's like, I don't know my computer's not reading my piano, this, that. I don't know what's going on. He's like, wait a second. So he calls a friend who has a studio at his house, and he's like, I guess him and his friend record all the time.
Yeah.
So he's like, let's go over there. So we jump in his car, we go over to his friend's house, 10-minute ride. He sets up, starts setting his piano up into that studio, and he does like one track, and I'm sitting there, and he's a jazz pianist, so he did the first track with the whole like boom 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 boom, and then he like laid another track on top of it. So I'm sitting there on the couch, just like, this is gonna be my Christmas CD. This is awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So I thought he was just gonna lay the piano tracks down.
Yeah.
And then the guys whose studio we were at, he's all like, why don't you sing along so he can kind of follow you? So he follows you through the melody. He's like, let's just lay down the whole CD tonight. And it happened in a night.
Oh my God.
It was an awesome experience.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How beautiful, how beautifully creative, and just like everything just came together. Hey, this wasn't working out. We're just going to go to this guy's house. Yeah, just record it.
And then I think it turned out better because he could just focus on playing the piano. And the other guy did all the mixing.
Yeah. No, we can't find the CD anywhere. Because this is 2010.
I would sell them as like a fundraiser.
Yeah.
At my parties.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when did you get the idea to do your parties? Because I want to talk about that. I can't remember the first time I went to one. Because I'm an alcoholic and I can't. And I can't remember because they were always so much fun, and I really did look forward to them every year. And I would tell everyone about them, and then they were my inspiration to try and do what you were doing. Obviously, not to that level yet.
Right.
But it was just I don't know if you're listening, it was a phenomenal thing to walk, because I remember walking downstairs and I was like, oh, I thought it was going to be this thing where, like you have like a bingo thing, and we call it like whatever your name is, and then you win a prize, like some gift certificates to CPK or wherever you're working at the time. But it was like a full on, like there was about 30 to 50 presents that were on stage. This is on stage, like filled up the whole entire stage, and you were there in your elf costume, and everyone like what was it? Half the proceeds of the bar went to, I'm probably talking about.
I think it was like 10% of the bar. We got 10% of the bar, and all the gifts were donated.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. And that was literally like, it was a mixture of me just going door to door.
Yeah.
To local businesses. Yeah. And telling them what I was doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps that I was wearing an elf costume.
That you're not like.
It kind of gets you in the door a little better.
Scam people.
Yeah.
Like, yo, can I just have some free
Look at me.
Well, when we start to fundraise again, I want this to be, hopefully, if people have any questions, because there is a legitimate way you can go across asking people for donations.
And what's great is the organization Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, they give me letterhead.
That's really important.
A letter stating this is what it's for, this is the tax ID number. So it's a tax write-off for all the businesses also. Yeah. So it's a win-win. Yeah. But I'd say throughout the years of like from 2005 up till I think my first Christmas party was 2014, fundraising for all those years, you have to get creative.
Yeah. No
so
kidding.
I've tried so many stuff, from like yard sales to letters to friends and family, all that. But what I found was, luckily, throwing big parties at bars that would offer up the space seemed to be the best thing for me.
Well, and it also kind of worked to your advantage because you're, once upon a time, I was a bartender as well, and we're kind of people by nature.
Yeah.
So you're like, hey, I think you more so than me, but there's a way that you can be like, hey man, you seem like a cool guy. Why don't you come to the, are we allowed to drop names? I don't know if the Moose Den.
It was called the Moose Den. Now it's called
I don't know what
Underdog.
It is now. Something like that.
Under something.
Yeah. Near the Americana.
Correct.
But you'd be like, hey man, why don't you just come out? It's going to be a great time. It's a real easy sell when A, you're you, but also B, it's like, but it's also for, leukemia and lymphoma.
Right. Well, I think the thing is, if you could find it, if you can make it fun and enjoyable.
Yes.
And then they added, oh, and by the way, we're doing this for charity.
Yeah.
But you could win a prize, you can win this. So it just kind of worked out. The first one, it was another one of those things where things just kind of fell together.
Yeah.
So I just started working for Din Tai Fung at the Americana. I was a couple months in. I wasn't on the team at the time. I wasn't a part of team in training. But after a few months of working, there's this busboy, his name is Francisco, who was working at Din Tai Fung, who got diagnosed with cancer.
Oh, Jesus.
Who didn't have health insurance.
Okay.
And didn't really have a way of paying for his medication. So I heard that. There was one of my coworkers, Angela. She was kind of like the head server. And she's just one of these people that's great at organizing stuff.
Yeah.
So I spoke to her and said, you know what, I'd really like to do something for Francisco.
Yeah.
Francisco used to work at Frida's also.
Oh, wow. Okay.
One of the old head bartenders at Frida's is this guy, Dave Madrano.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Well, Dave Madrano was the GM of the Moose Den at the time. So I spoke to Dave and asked him if we could have the Moose Den for a night to raise money for Francisco, who he knew because he used to work with him.
Yeah.
So he's like, for sure.
Oh my God.
So that's how it kind of all started and came together. And that way, and then we just hit up all the businesses in the Americana and all the area. They donated a bunch of money. And another friend of Dave Madrano's, Michelle Dominguez. Do you know Michelle?
She sounds so familiar. Like I said, we don't have a great track record with my memories.
Okay. But she used to go to the corner bar all the time.
Okay.
And hang out with Madrano.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Which is now Chained Rabbit.
Oh, I call it the what is it? The blue unicorn or something like. I never say it the name right.
You're like mixing the blue room and awesome. Well,
anyway, yes.
Michelle, she works for a warehouse, and they deal with all like the studios. So they hold all the DVDs and stuff like that for the studios.
What you got. Oh, yeah.
So they have these crates of surplus of DVDs.
Yes.
So she's like, oh, I could just donate all these DVDs. She's like, I have a crate.
I was going to, and when you guys, I don't want to break the fourth wall, but or ruin your story. I don't know if those are not the same analogies, but when we would get these gift bags, because they would start, I don't want to say the low level, but you pay for a raffle ticket, and then you would, if we won, we would get these bags that weren't
what
just
are they?
Bags. I just want to paint we'd get these bags and be like, oh great, because you run up to the stage and like get it, and then there was tons of shit in there. It's like 19 DVDs that I think I don't know if I might be mixing up my parties, but I think Jessica Nolan was there, and she got like a Green Bay sleeping bag, or somebody got a sleeping bag. That's all I remember.
Well, not only did they have this warehouse didn't just hold DVDs.
Yeah.
It was all like, I think Star Trek had just came out. So we had Star Trek hats.
That's right.
We had Star Trek bags. We had Star Trek keychains.
That's because I wanted one so bad.
And I'm like, I mean, it's a Christmas themed party, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
It's free.
You can't. Yeah, it's free. And hey, man, you'll take what you can get at these things.
Correct.
When you're fundraising, sorry.
So that first one was pretty much, it was like that first Christmas party was like the perfect storm.
It was
Everything
so much fun.
came together.
God, yeah.
So Angela helped me put it together. She has a really good friend. I always screw his name up. It's like one letter. It's either H or Q or G. But he goes yes, it's one of those three. He's a great guy if you're listening. And he goes to the college for arts, for music and stuff like that. So every year he would bring new artists that were going to college to come and perform at our. So they all were single. They were like.
That's right. You did have performers
we
there.
We had artists. They were like writing their own music. It was awesome.
Was so much fun.
The way it all came together was awesome. God. And so I think the first year we raised, I think it was close to $3,000.
Jeez. Yeah.
For Francisco.
Nice. Yeah. And that was just for Francisco. That wasn't.
Correct. We just gave him $3,000.
Wow.
For his medication and stuff. It was a crazy night because he hadn't told his family, and his daughter saw our flyers, and that's how she found
Jesus.
out.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it worked itself out.
Yeah.
And she was when she came to the party because she saw the flyer, and then realized it's for her dad. She was there before him.
Yeah.
But when she saw how everybody came together,
it wasn't.
It made her feel better about the whole experience.
I mean, best as you can.
I didn't know he didn't tell his family.
How would you know? You're not like prying into his secret life and whatnot, but that's, wow.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really intense stuff that happens around.
Especially at the Americana.
Yeah, no kidding.
At the Moose Den.
At the Americana at the Moose Den.
Yes.
Jesus. Well, that was, were before all the shenanigans happened this year, were you planning on doing one this year?
You know, I was. Mm-hmm. We took so Angela and I.
That's what I'm trying to remember is like, what did we do last year? I can't remember.
We didn't do one last year.
Okay.
And we didn't do one the year before.
Okay.
This is going to go on 3 years.
Okay.
The year before I didn't do it because it just became it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. Like, because you were telling me when I wanted to do something, Tough Cookie has a section of our company it's called Cookie Dough. And that's where our fundraising goes to. And we work with Ainsley's Angels. We'll do another podcast on that later. But it is so hard. I did what was it, that 30-miler thing? And that wasn't for Ainsley's Angels at the time. It's for another organization. But just to get that amount of like, I maybe had 4 or 5 things, but it was like my mother-in-law made me something. It was like I went to Barney's that I was working at the time.
I found this in my closet. I haven't used it in years.
It is not easy. Yeah. It was not, and I had to use that like, well, it's also my birthday, so it was like it's not for those of you who are looking to hopefully fundraise when we can in a ginormous way that CJ does. It is not an easy feat, so you have to make sure that you have your why.
Yeah. Well, and I remember my first season of fundraising when I joined the team, and my thought was, oh my God, when people figure out what I'm doing, of course they're going to give me money.
Why wouldn't they?
No. Just because you're passionate about something doesn't mean they're going to be passionate about something.
But it's also if they see somebody like you who is super passionate about it, I think it helps. And it also helps that you, unfortunately, again, it's not the case this year, but you have a team that you work with where someone can be, hey, I'm not able to do that, but I know of CJ that's doing so or so. And then you can always, clearly it's worked out extremely well for you in the past where you've known people who've known people. And then that always can help you out.
Right. But I've had my issues with fundraising.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What was like, is there any big drama one that you want to talk about? Or word to the wise.
Well, I would just say no. I don't want.
We don't have to.
I don't want to scare anybody.
I'm
just saying that people have to be prepared that it does take a lot sometimes, and it is harder to get people to, especially now.
Yeah.
With the economy.
Well, and that's the one thing that we talked about before you came on here is that people still need to realize that I 100% understand what everyone's going through. I do. I'm not, but these doesn't mean that everything else still goes away. And that's I don't want to bring everyone down. We'll bring it up after I say this, but it's like, things are still going on and people still need people still need people. And these organizations are still around, even though we might not have races at the moment, even though we might not have fundraising events at the moment. And I think that's going to be the sticky wicket that we're going to have to figure out how to do moving forward is how are we going to safely fundraise when that time comes again, because I don't know, I don't know the future. I don't know what it's going to be like 5 years from now. Hopefully we can go back to not.
It's going to, I think it's going to work itself out.
It has to. It has to.
Yeah.
And then, and I mean.
And the people, the people that I've met through the organization, through the years, are just some of the kindest, creative, strong-willed people that I've ever met.
Amen. Yeah.
They always find a way.
Yeah. Yeah. You're one of them, and you'll find a way.
I like to think of myself as one of them. I question it sometimes.
Just keep doing what you're doing, CJ.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Just
it's fine.
fall forward.
Yeah.
Fall forward.
Well, when you talk about, were you a runner back in your high school days or when you were younger? Or like, how did you just did it because you got that flyer in the mail and that was right?
Yeah, I think the most I growing up, I did sports like basketball and baseball and football.
Yeah.
But I was always in the choir and doing musicals and stuff like that. I had an acting coach in high school, and he one day made me run 10 miles.
Why?
And I remember hating him, hating every second of it. Yeah.
Was this for like a role or something?
I don't even know why.
Kids, this was back in the day when teachers and acting coaches could make you do that, and there was no like, your parents are like, what did you do today? Oh, I ran 10 miles. Great.
Yeah, now go shovel.
Yeah,
now go shovel the driveway. So there was that, and I think I've always like, when you're trying to be in shape, and I think all of us have, throughout my life, it's up and down.
Yeah.
Battling, losing the weight, gaining the weight, losing the weight, and running was always a way that I would do some of that.
Well, there's a reason they call it the running season, and we're fortunate enough to live in LA to where we don't. It's 24/7. There's no excuse not to run a marathon. Well, our marathon is in March, so I mean, theoretically, our marathon is in March, so there's no excuse to not be in season, but except for the fact that you don't want to.
Yeah.
Where it's December now, and at this moment, there's been.
And the food's so good.
Yes, I know.
And you're getting that. I think because I grew up back east.
Yes.
And you live with the Four Seasons.
Yeah.
I swear my body still has that mentality of like, oh, it's getting cold out. You better put on some pounds to protect yourself.
Yeah.
No.
No, don't you know where I live, man?
Yeah, come on. Yeah, but man, that cake looks so good.
I know. Well, it's hard. I mean, coming from a personal training standpoint of like, okay, you're not supposed to be in your off season. Like you're as a trainer, you never have an off season, blah, blah, blah. And I try to get that into my clients of like, you know what? You do what makes you feel happy because your body.
Well, that's an interesting question because being a personal trainer, do you feel an added pressure that you always have to be on?
Before, I don't want to say figured out who I was because that's not at all the case. But before
if you did, can you tell me how?
Just the thing is that I'm probably never gonna know. It was more about like now I make decisions for myself based on my performance. That's just the simple. Because there was a time about 6 months ago when this was all going down where I felt the strongest. I was not, but I felt it, and it took me about 4 months of work to be like, oh, no. You got to kind of rein it back, and because your performance isn't where it should be, and you're not running the way that you should be, and you're not lifting the way that you should be. But I made that decision. I was just thinking about this today. It's funny you bring that. Funny that I brought that up on my is the fact that like I felt great the way that I was. I didn't think there was any problem, but then I realized, okay, let's really look at your performance wise. But I try to really convey that to a lot of my clients and a lot of my group clients of like, okay, it doesn't really matter what I think. It doesn't really matter what you think. I think you should focus more on how you're performing. Because if you're running a marathon for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, for Ainsley's Angels, for any particular, what's the word I'm looking for? Cause, thank you.
Yeah.
You want to do well. You don't have to do perfect, but you want to do well. And I think that should be a lot of their motivation at times. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Final answer?
Yes, final answer. Well, I was just thinking how that even through the years, like been running on the team off and on since 2005, And I've had some good seasons
Yeah.
and I've had some not so good seasons.
Yeah.
And it's just, I guess what I'm saying is like,
Mhm.
even the people that are like seasoned regulars,
Yeah.
they have their bad moments. They
Of
have their
course.
bad months, their
Yeah. You're
ups
gonna.
and downs.
Plus, I don't know. We talked about this on the last podcast, or I think every time. We get older. It does not get easier. I think we've talked about this before where it's like, I remember my phrase, I think exactly, it was like, well, I had 2 cocktails the night before. Why didn't I PR this race? It's like, because you're not 23 anymore, Rachel. That's why. So
Hence, don't do the Las Vegas Marathon.
Oh my God, that's right. Can we tell that story?
Go right ahead.
Oh my God, because I don't remember a lot of it. That was the first time that
Well, I don't know why so obviously.
I don't know why we thought this was a good idea.
Right. Las Vegas Marathon. And you're like, oh, well, it's 4
Yeah.
o'clock in the afternoon the next day.
Yeah, so that's fine.
That's plenty of time to like sober up.
And then I was drunk. And that was the only course I've ever thrown up on. 3 times.
3 times.
3 times. One of it was on some poor person's lawn because that's when they did it. They went through.
Did you do the full or half?
I did the half. You were brave enough to do the full, right?
Yeah, but I don't even think I finished the full that year.
The full, they have that.
They have a 5-hour
Yeah.
cutoff, so they kept shortening the course
Yeah.
to get everybody in. And it was the one time where I'm all like, I'm okay with this.
Yeah. No, bring me the car. Bring me the car.
And I want you to shorten it a little more.
Yeah. I'm going to sit down. Is
Let's
that
call
okay?
this the finish line right here.
I forgot about that. But you know what? You know what? Is that I realized that I performed so poorly in that half marathon. The next year, I was determined to PR in that race, and I did.
In Vegas.
Yes, in Vegas. I was like, ha-ha, suck it. And then proceeded to get blackout drunk.
But you at least waited till
yes.
the day
I
after.
waited the day after.
Correct.
Well, that's the really kind of shitty thing about that race for me is that we're so used to running at 7, 6 in the morning because that's when it's theoretically that's when it's coolest. But yeah, that was different. That was real different.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to hit me so hard.
No kidding.
Running at 4 p.m.
Right? Yeah. Is there any other, do you have any other, well, you know what story comes to mind, and it doesn't probably have anything to do with running, and it's okay if you don't want to tell it, but it's that time you were doing that play in New York, or was it Boston, and you got locked out, and you had to run.
Okay, yeah.
Was it around
This
Christmas at
story.
least, or was it, no? We could pretend that it was around Christmas.
Well, all right, I'll say this.
Yeah.
It has to do with vices.
Okay, that's something.
That's something.
Yeah.
So I was doing a show in New York.
Yes.
I went to the Stella Adler, which
Yes.
I told you, Stella
Yes.
Adler. And the theater was on the 5th floor.
Okay.
And we would always, that's where our school was, on the 5th and 6th floor. And we'd always go out. I think everybody in acting school smokes cigarettes, at least at that time. So we'd all
What
go
year
out.
was this? Like 1998?
99.
Oh, I was so
2000,
close. Oh,
yeah.
2000.
I
Okay.
think this was 2000. I think it was 2000.
Anyway.
Yes. Or 2001.
Okay. It
No.
wasn't- It wasn't last week.
Correct. All right. So we would always go out on the fire escape
Yeah.
to have a cigarette because we didn't want to have to go all the way down to the
Makes
floor
sense,
because
yeah.
we're on the 5th floor. But we always were very careful because the fire escape door would, if it shut, there was no way of opening it.
Yeah.
So we always kept the door open.
Yeah.
So we were doing King Lear, and I'm in full costume and makeup, and it's about 5 minutes before the show starts, and I'm
Nice.
like, one more cigarette. So I walk out on the fire escape
Yes.
and shut the door behind me and locked myself out on the fire
Great.
escape with 5 minutes before the show. Now I'm like, oh my God. No time for a cigarette because
Yep.
now I have to figure out how I'm going to get back in.
I mean, you probably could. You could John McClane it in like, anyway.
I'm trying to think if I did. I
I'm-
wouldn't be
am
surprised if I was
I
like,
was
I
gonna
got at
say.
least a minute.
Yeah.
So I remember going to the floor below me because I think the floor below me was still in school,
Yes.
and peeking in the window and trying to see if I could find somebody to open the fire escape for me. No go.
Of course.
So I go down. There was, at the bottom of the fire escape was an alley with 4 walls. with no way out, which is, I'm like,
Why is
how
that
does
even
this
there?
work? What if there is a fire?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not going to help.
There's a flaw.
Yeah. So then I go back to the third floor because from the third floor fire escape, you could get onto the roof of the building next to us.
Oh, Jesus.
So I climb over to the building next to us, and I jump from the third floor to the second floor because there was like a ledge.
Yeah.
And then I had to jump 2 stories down to the ground. I jumped 2 stories down to the ground, twist my ankle, get like a high ankle sprain, and now I have to climb this gated fence. Climb the gated fence, run to the front of the building, jump in the elevator, get upstairs just in time for the show, and do the whole show limping.
But you did the whole show.
And I did that, and I didn't have time to actually. It was such a crazy week that week. I didn't even have time to go to the hospital, so I had school in the morning and all morning, then did the show at night. And not until that later weekend, my parents came to see the show, and they forced me to go to the hospital and get it looked at.
No, CJ, you gotta go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh
So the story, so the lesson there is, don't smoke. I think that's what God was saying. God was like, you know what?
You know what, CJ? I think we gotta reel
I'll
this
teach
in.
you.
Yeah. And then look at you now. Now you're running and fundraising for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
Yeah, maybe that's where it all began.
That is where it all began.
That was my lesson.
I have 2 questions for you before we leave. Do you have a favorite marathon that you've ran in the past 15 years? Or it doesn't have to be marathon, just race in general.
I would say favorite. Well, the last one was definitely up there, which was the Great Wall of China.
Oh, we didn't even get to talk about that. What an asshole. I brought you specifically on this podcast to talk about it. Damn it. That's fine. But you did goose step up the stairs, and that's literally kind of...
I could abbreviate the story real quick.
Yes.
The marathon is probably the hardest marathon I've ever done in my life.
Jesus.
And the way you pretty much climb a mountain of stairs, and the course you go at mile like 3 or 4, you go down a mountain of stairs, and it's at least like 1,000 feet, maybe 1,500 feet of stairs just going down.
Yeah.
Then they send you out into these villages for 17 miles, and at mile 22, you now go up this mountain of stairs. So I was doing okay. Yeah. And then for some reason, I started going back up the mountain of stairs, and both of my legs locked up and cramped. And it was a tour. It was like, so everybody on the tour did the marathon. So I met a bunch of people from around the world to do this marathon. Yeah. So I just started cramping, and I was like, oh my God, I have so much further to go up. What the hell am I going to do?
This is not...
I can't even move my legs. And one of the girls from the tour bus comes up, and she's all like happy and like, hey. And I just gave her this look, and she's like, okay, I'll see you later. She kept going. I felt so bad after, but it's the only look I could give at that moment.
You don't know the pain I'm in.
Don't say hi to me nice like that. And then I figured out that the only way I could move forward is if I lifted my legs up really high, it would release the tightness. Yes. And then I could move forward. So I was high stepping these little steps on the Great Wall of China. And now everybody's like, what the hell is this guy doing? It's overachiever. You got to high step it. And I'm like, no, it's the only way I can move forward.
You should have been saying out loud, I'm the best one here.
Try like this. This works. This is much better.
This is great.
Yes.
Okay, well then we'll have to talk. We'll have to do like a subpart episode on that because there's so
I'll
much,
come back.
I was going to say there's so much more behind that story that needs to be talked about because it was such a great... Well, okay, so before I lose track again, do you have a least favorite race that you've ever done? He's like,
it
the
would
same
probably be, I mean, that was love and hate.
Yeah.
I had a season where I was like on fire. Training was amazing.
Yeah.
I PR'd my half marathon.
Yeah.
So I was supposed to PR my marathon.
Yeah.
And I had the flu. And I ran anyways.
Oh no.
And that was another one of those.
You had the flu?
I had the flu.
Why? Oh, you are so
I was in
strong-willed.
Hawaii I did the Hawaii Marathon for
Yeah.
the second time. I had the flu. I cramped up.
Oh,
And I still PR'd.
are you serious?
Yeah. But it's not a very fast one. But I haven't been able to get back there.
Well, you probably PR'd because you're like me running hungover. It's like, I just want to get this done. I just want to be over. I just want this to be over. Ow.
Yeah, I just remember it not being very fun.
Because I've done a half where I was sick. That was not the first year I did San Diego, but the second year. And I was going to run the full, but then I got so sick. And I was like, I'll just run the half because that'll make it better. And it's almost the same time as like my marathon time to do the half. I was like, nope. I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably my worst.
Yeah.
My least favorite.
Okay. Well, before you go, you have anything you want to plug? You want to tell them where they can find out more information if they would like to run for? It's team and training, right?
Yeah, team and
I
training.
should have said that, not
Yeah.
Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
So
yeah.
I mean, it's team and training. I think you can go to teamandtraining.org
Okay.
if you want to find out about the team. And they do marathons, they do triathlons, they do cycle events. Now they do hikes. Like they're doing.
Oh, that's cool.
I think they have a team that did Mount Kilimanjaro.
Oh, so it's not like Griffith Park. They're like.
I mean, no. This is like.
Okay, in my mind, I'm like, oh, that's really fun. It's
I mean,
not like-
they start off with those hikes,
Yeah, makes
but
sense.
the goal,
Yeah.
ultimate goal, is to do these like hike a mountain.
Wow. Okay.
So teamandtraining.org,
Wow. Okay.
or if you just want to donate and give
Yeah.
money, lls.org. We can find out more about the organization.
Awesome. And then do you want to give any of your information out for social media or whatnot?
Yeah, I guess they could find me. They could follow me on Instagram,
Okay.
Christopher. I think it's Christopher
I don't.
/J/Foster. It's the low. What's it called when it's the line below?
The underscore, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Christopher _J_Foster. You can follow me on Instagram,
Okay.
and hopefully I could put my Christmas CD on
Yeah.
there somehow.
If you just, they could probably just YouTube. What was it, Chris?
Or you can go
Yeah.
on YouTube, CJ the Elf,
Oh, CJ the Elf. Okay.
and see me walking around Rockefeller Center
And
singing
then-
Christmas carols dressed like an elf.
Okay. And I'll put all your links and everything in the description when we throw this up.
Sweet.
I know. Look at me.
You're so savvy.
we say as we try to figure out how to email an iTunes song
Yes.
before the beginning of this.
They don't need to know that.
Well, thank you so much, CJ, for being here. Anything else you want to say before we head out?
I think I'm good.
Yeah. Happy holidays.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Hell yeah.
Merry
Thanks.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah. God bless us, everyone.
Thank you, Jesus. Have a beautiful
Yes.
holiday.
You are breaking bread with Jesus
Yeah.
for Christmas. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the